get your popcorn, strap in, because we're gonna see if Civ 7's worth it. And after reading the Steam reviews, I don't think. It's got mixed reviews. Over 11,000 reviews are already in, and it's released. Yeah, pre-releases obviously, but it's just been released. So, do I spend my money? It's $119 Harry's Australian, which is expensive. Let's have a little look-see poodle.
With how expensive the game is and all the mixed reviews from the public.
Yeah, I want to see it. It looks good.
People are wondering how good is Civilization 7.
Yes, take me through it, baby.
For me personally, I got this game's Founder Edition for free, and for those who saw my stream, yes, Steam is giving me my money back for buying the deluxe, and thus I feel I am in the best position.
I want a free gum.
Buy it or not. And spoilers, I won't be fence sitting because today I will be.
Oh, of course you'll be. Okay, well I don't mind fence sitting.
You should spend your money on or not. Kind of, but we'll get into that soon. The
right.
first thing I want to talk about is the good about the game, starting with the graphics. Absolutely stunning. Going back to a more realistic Civ 5 graphics. Really
it looks good, and I think what everyone is saying is the graphics are good. I think we can all agree that yes, great graphics.
This game as well. This bodes good for anyone who is afraid that they will drop this game within the next decade, or they'll come out with a new game maybe 2 or 3 years from now.
Probably not Civ, honey.
But while it does look beautiful, the most important aspect of a game is obviously the gameplay.
Yes, exactly.
With its combat changes. The generals are incredible. The ability to pack units into formations reduces micromanaging that is killed.
But I like to micromanage.
And with generals, there's a unit that will stay with you throughout the ages, so getting promotions on them in the early game will allow you to dominate the late game even if you don't end up taking any cities early on, ensuring that you'll always want a general nearby.
I never take cities early on. It takes too much time and effort. I want to know how the combat works. Ooh, look at it all moving.
Is finally removed. You have cav, you have ranged, you have sieged, and melee.
Okay.
Each of which are effective at a specific job and have a use, especially when you factor in the unique units in every age.
Okay, I hear you.
Used to capture the multiple districts you need to further enhance the strategic aspect of this game, because you don't just need the city center anymore. You actually need to capture every single defensive district in the city's radius.
Oh, okay, so that's different.
So much deeper, but more importantly, even the naval combat is better. With navigable rivers, you can
you can
the age of exploration almost.
Wait, you can use ships on the rivers. That's cool that you can have shippies that do their thing. I'm curious, as I was saying before, is combat gonna be more in depth? Yes, but is combat still gonna be like very long? It's long and it's tedious, so I hope they quicken that. Interesting that you have to take more than the city center.
Almost forcing you to colonize. With half the victory conditions in the game dependent on foreign lands, you will need ships for at least the latter 2 ages. This was.
So does that mean you're kind of forced into not a military victory, but some sort of like, this is my land, potentially?
Such a problem with previous Civ games, since you typically didn't even need ships because there was absolutely zero reason to colonize.
Exactly.
The loyalty mechanic in Civilization 6 that pretty much just made it so if you did try to colonize, you would just lose the city anyways. But this isn't anything made viable from previous games. You see, back in Civ 6 and before, you spawn in tundra or desert, that's a restart, which can be so frustrating when your leader doesn't have a start bias as restarting the game trying to get a playable map. But
and you're like, poo.
Tundra and desert, you get the same yields as in grasslands and plains, which allows
that's pretty good. Okay, I like that.
Even between every
that's nice. That's nice.
But also means that niche picks like Russia or Canada in Civ 6 don't have to worry about the lack of food early on in the tundra, with even something like mountains being workable late, making this game extremely fun and creative, and every start being a good start no matter where you start on the map.
Well, that's
and the fun and creativity also extends to the victory paths. The paths are separated into 4 different pathways each era, which give you bonuses you can bring into the next era if you do end up making the path or getting a golden age or something like that.
Love me a golden age.
Most of them, they feel significantly different from the others, meaning you can pick and choose which one you want to go for depending on your game. For example, if you went for a culture game and need the 7 wonders in the Age of Antiquity, but there are just no more wonders to build.
I have to say one thing real quick. It's annoying when you play with AI and they're building their wonders so fast and you're like, how, what, what? And you're just literally trying to feed your people so they're not starving, and then someone in a land far away has already built a wonder. It's so annoying It makes me so mad. I'm like, stop. Stop. Is the golden age like a golden shower? Yes, they're both wonderful.
Or focus on researches to get codexes, or build more merchant units and trade buildings so you can get the 20 resources. The only issue I do have is the fact that the economic and militaristic paths in the first two eras are pretty much one and the same.
That's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
For cities, you gain more resources and slots for the economic pathway in the Age of Antiquity. And if you colonize and conquer in the Exploration Age, you're gonna get more cities with treasure fleets.
I basically go for a diplomatic victory every time. Sometimes I'll switch to science. Military, the game would take at least another 5 lengths than what I play if I decide to go for a military victory. It's just exhausting and everything moves too slow. So this sounds like it's a little bit different in the way they do their victories. I still don't understand it. I need someone to like lay it down for me to be like, this is how you win economically and blah, 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 blah. I would like a very like in-depth. Because I want to nerd about it, dude. I want to nerd about it.
And the integration of the victory paths are almost as seamless as the integration of the Civ switching. The biggest factor that would determine this game's success was the Civ switching. When you look at Humankind, the fact that you can switch entire Civs and that you're beside, maybe the Mayans one day, and then the next day you wake up.
That I don't understand.
Completely killed Immersion. And
so you can play multiple Civs, is that correct? No, yes, no, absolutely not sure. Not sure how that works.
Put that game into its early grave. Something so critical to the game, the foundation it was built on, being a bad feature meant that the game had no hope left. But in Civ 7, the fact that the focus is on the leaders and not the Civs, and the fact that the leaders have the colors and don't even know what Civ they're actually playing unless you look for it in the game is great. The foundations for this game are absolutely phenomenal. This is important, since we'll soon see there are a lot of bad things about this game, but all the bad things can eventually be ironed out. Unlike the core of the game, being almost perfect.
I think he's talking about patches.
Will eventually be good, there's no doubt in my mind.
Okay, but we gotta wait 5 years.
Perfect now.
No.
At least perfect enough, good enough for you to spend $70 on. Well, let's start off light and look at the bugs. They are everywhere. Like,
oh no!
Can't click on narrative event choices sometimes.
Oh, that's not good.
And accidentally click on the leader portraits. That forces you to restart that same autosave turn. Those are all there, but they're not game breaking. Now, if they will break immersion for you, and that is a problem, yes, there are a lot of bugs that eventually do need to be ironed
it's a
out.
big game. It's a chunky game.
They'll probably work on these bugs sooner rather than later, and that as of now, this isn't Cyberpunk on release. Meaning it's not the biggest problem in the world.
It'll be fine. Us nerds will be fine.
I mean, what are we even doing here? The fact that you charge $70 for a game with UI like this, so basic, so incomprehensible, is an affront to everyone who bought this game.
Oh, god damn. It's getting in there.
But the short of it is the fact that you cannot tell what is going on. The game gives so little information.
Okay, because I can't even tell what's going on, and I think I'm a dum-dum, but actually, maybe the game is a little bit, not janky isn't the word, but it sounds like, they're like, he doesn't even know what's going on. And I'm like such an idiot now. So far, this is not convincing me. Not convincing. But we'll press on.
That even experienced Civ players get overwhelmed and need a guide just to figure out what the hell's going on sometimes.
Okay, good. I'm so confused.
Different Paradox releases, stuff like the... Next, for example, I think they probably shouldn't have added religion in this game if it was just going to be
the religion?
bare bones style.
There's nothing more frustrating when someone comes up in your city and spreads their religion and you're like, I don't think so. And they're just up in your business. I do not like that. I always call my religion farts because I think there's nothing funnier than like it coming up and being like, this place wants farts.
But there are some game design decisions that are objective. Like the search function. With how cluttered the UI is, you would think that a search function, so you can find the library you built 50 turns ago to place Hypatia on, would be implemented.
Damn it! But it isn't!
Objective and not subjective, there's no reason not to include map tags. One of the best additions in Civ 6, the fact that they didn't include it in this game is baffling. Unironically, there needs to be an internal investigation on how this could have even happened. Probably wouldn't have shown the yields you would get, like in the previous Civ games. Just like in this Civ game, how you don't see the yields for the policy cards.
You don't see the yields?
Civ 6, yes, but you could use a mod for that. For Civ 7, you just have to pray that you have enough specialists or imported resources to make the card you slot in worth it. I will say though that at least a mod for this should come out sooner rather than later, and thus shouldn't be too much of a problem for very long. But considering how popular the mods were in Civ 6, you would at least assume that they would maybe include something like that.
That's a very good
the
point.
You're getting for the policy card. Oh, I wonder how to see where my towns are sending the food. Let me ask Civ, and it responds that your guess is as good as mine. This isn't a design decision. It's the fact that they didn't have time to finish this feature. Literally,
why didn't they finish it?
With features like fresh water and whole civs missing from the Civilopedia. This was rushed, and the problem with that is the information you gain from the UI from the game is so lackluster, you will be left blind. And while that isn't too much of a problem,
doesn't sound good, is it?
By the time you get to the modern age, it's almost unplayable. There are so many
cities,
so many buildings that you have no idea what's going on. It just makes you want to restart back to your previous age, which is the entire reason they added the age thing in the first place, so people would want to play to the end of the game. And the game's problems are far from over. You can't customize city names. Animations can't be skipped, which like we
I love customizing my city names. It's always like Gina, penis, farts, the city of bumhole, the city of shithead. I use shithead because then it says like shithead wants more pearls, and that makes me laugh. I am a child. I totally realize that.
We said in the clutter section means you have to wait for the units to finish moving, or just pray you don't mess up the unit placement of your other units, which has happened to me and others countless times. It's like this game wasn't even meant for the player, and that's doubly so for one of the worst parts they changed in this game, the leader screens. There is no aura at all. Their animations are limited. There's no background. They don't even talk to you.
What?
But
Really?
In Civ 6, it felt like you were talking to a historical leader.
Yeah.
The leader screens gave them personality. And you want to know the best part, the worst part? Even Civ 6's leader screens are dog shit compared to Civilization 5.
Great.
And the AI is worse because
bad AI.
Conquered 4 cities, eliminated their armies, and the only thing you can trade is cities? Why not allow us to trade for resource rights, or make them promise not to settle near us, or keep their standing army limited to like
old
a few
school
units,
stuff, baby.
Instead, you can just wipe them out from the game if you do enough damage. And speaking of settling, loyalty is removed, and forward settling is back in full force. The AI snipes one tile they can settle in between your empire. It doesn't matter how good the city is.
So
it doesn't matter how many tiles are available. They will take another baffling decision with such an easy fix. Back in Civ 6, there is a mod that disables loyalty, and it does that not by removing the mechanic, but by making the mechanic not work. Now here's the difference. The loyalty would still be shown on the screen. Like you go to settle with the settler, it'll show you -20 loyalty. And because of that, the AI would still respect the loyalty numbers and wouldn't forward settle you. But even if you had negative loyalty, the mechanic just wouldn't work. You wouldn't lose loyalty. It not only removed the headache of loyalty, but it also kept in the reason that loyalty was even added in the first place.
I feel like I've seen enough to make a decision that I won't be buying the game. I mean, we know there's gonna be lots of bugs in it. It's a huge game. I think most of the Civs prior have had bugs in them anyway, and that's just kind of annoying. The one thing that I really wanted them to straighten out is the AI. Like, cause the AI in previous games, and I've said this before, especially in Civ 5, which is my favorite Civ, they'll love you 1 second and then they hate you the next. And also if they're gonna settle a city like right near you, even if there's just 1 tile difference, that's really frustrating. As if you'd even settle a city there anyway in the real world. I know this is not real world, but that's the kind of vibe it is. So I think it sounds like it needs mods, which people will be working on now. Updates. The bugs have got to be squished with it. And then I might think about buying it in maybe 2 to 3 years. Is anyone buying it? Like, is anyone chat, you guys buying it? Or are you like, absolutely not, I need to wait until things happen? Let's revisit this in a year's time, 2 years time, and see what happens.